Hi, this is Dave Zimmerman of the Kaza Group. Thank you for joining us today on Living in Clifton, the channel that explores all the great things about living in Clifton, Virginia. Today, we're sitting down with the owner of the Clifton Main Street Pub, Kevin McNamara. We'll be talking about Kevin's growing up years here in the Clifton area and all the great things that are happening at the pub and what Kevin does when he's not at the pub, and what the future looks like for the Clifton Main Street Pub. So sit back, relax, and enjoy going deep at the Clifton Main Street Pub. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and you'll never miss another episode of Living in Clifton. Thank you for joining us today. This is Dave Zimmerman with the Kaza Group. Living, loving, listing Clifton. Come join us. I'm Dave Zimmerman with the Kaza Group, and we are here for another episode of Living in Clifton. And I'm here with Kevin McNamara, the owner of the Clifton Main Street Pub. Kevin, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah. We love Clifton. It's one of our favorite places to go. You'll find us a fixture here on Friday nights most times, so.
Always for that live music.
Always for that live music, exactly. So I want to first start talking about, I understand you grew up in Clifton, so you moved here at a young age?
Super young. So I was 2.5. My dad used to work for JCPenney's.
Okay.
So he was like the director of art for the East Coast or something weird like that, where he would go and he would pretty much fix every Windows display on the East Coast, or make new ones, or all of that. So it was kind of interesting. So JCPenney's base was here, where he grew up in Silver Spring.
Okay.
Then he moved to Fair Oaks and he headed up that department. But then he was moved up to Pittsburgh. He was there for like 3 years, and then we moved back down.
Okay.
So I was born while they were in Pittsburgh.
And so what year did you move to Clifton then?
We came back in 1986.
Okay, so 86. All right.
85.
Okay.
Yeah, 1985.
Yeah, that's 40 years ago.
Almost 40 years.
Almost 40 years, 39. Wow. And so growing up in Clifton, what was that like for you?
Clifton was very different back in the day.
Okay. Right.
So, I mean, one, the traffic wasn't there. Like, we used to skateboard down Main Street. It wasn't an issue. Tumbleweed would go down Main Street at 5 o'clock. That was the big joke, because nobody would come through here.
Wow.
And as you can tell, it's changed a lot since then.
Yeah, a little bit more traffic.
A little bit more traffic, but that's also with Prince William County, building as much as it has over the last 30 years. Remember, we used to be the outskirts.
Okay.
We are not the outskirts anymore.
So when you were growing up, what high school did you go to?
Robinson.
Okay, so you went to Robinson, which most of the people in Clifton go to.
Yeah,
there's a couple of other high schools. There's Centerville and Fairfax.
Centerville, Fairfax, and then some of the upper part now goes to, that new one over by Laurel Hill.
Okay.
South County. There you go.
Yep. So when you're growing up as a kid here, you're running around, you're doing stuff. What's your favorite thing to do? What do you like to do?
When I was younger, one of my best friends growing up lived off Ivacota. So we would meet in the middle. I would pick up night crawlers from here, and then some bags of chips and sodas, and meet him, and we'd sit and fish the pond on a nice summer day. And then, once we were 10, 11, we got into skateboarding, so everybody was just, skating down at the town community hall and stuff like that.
That's cool.
But I mean, there was lots of little things, like,
I guess there's a big horse community too. So
big horse community, yeah. So I never grew up riding horses. It wasn't my thing. I'm still scared to get on a horse. Anything bigger than me, I'm out.
Anything that outweighs you won't work, right? Yeah.
So.
So how did you get from, or how did your parents here? He's working for J.C. Penney's, and now the pub has been in your family for a while. So how did that happen?
So the pub, he bought it in, I think it was like August of '86.
Okay.
Maybe a little later than that.
Okay.
Maybe November, December. But it was funny. He was tired of his job. He was tired of traveling all the time and not being around us. And so, he up and quit one day without telling my mother. As you could tell, that probably did not go well. So he was, took a walk down to 8 Acre Park. He was walking around 8 Acre Park when he saw Donna Netchert. And Donna was like, well, Jane Camp's looking to sell the pub, or the general store back then.
So it was the general store?
It was the general store back then.
Yeah.
And so my dad thought about it, and he brought it up to my mom, and so they went ahead and bought the general store back then. They bought the business first in '87, then bought the building in '89. So yeah, it's just been in our family since.
Interesting. And so you had siblings as well?
Yep. I have an older brother, a twin brother, and a younger sister.
Okay. A twin brother?
Yeah.
All right. Now, is he the one that I've seen down here?
No. So Sean is my business partner here.
Okay.
And he's my older brother.
Okay.
My twin brother is actually a teacher for Fairfax County.
Oh, okay.
So he's been teaching music, he graduated in '07, so he probably started with the county in '08. So he's been 15, 16 years as a teacher in the county.
Nice.
So he's over at Thoreau Middle School, lives in DC, and commutes from there.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
So, well, God bless him.
Yeah, and then my younger sister, she heads up Preston's for Sean. So she's essentially the GM over there.
Okay. And Preston's is the other location in Manassas, right?
That is Sean and Mom's other location in Manassas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so your family, married, kids?
I'm married, happily, most of the time. No, she loves me easily 80% of the time.
All right. Excellent.
But yeah, so
let's see.
Married.
80-20 rule.
80-20 rule. Married with kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Okay.
5-year-old is Maggie. She loves coming in here and pouring beer and joking around. And then the young one is Charlie, who cannot get enough of the candy shelf.
Nice.
So.
Very good. Very good. Wonderful family then. Yeah.
They're my best friends.
So, what's your favorite festival day here at Clifton? What is your favorite day?
Oh man, my favorite or the business's favorite?
Well, and there may be two different answers. So, what's your favorite?
Two completely
first?
different answers.
Yeah.
Man, my favorite is either the pub crawl, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I just think it's a lot of fun. It's all the locals that are just hanging out, and everybody wears a white shirt and everybody signs it, and it's kind of fun. So it starts over at Trummer's, goes to Bellagio, and ends here with live music, and we go till like 2 a.m.
Oh, very cool.
And then the other one.
And this is open to the public. Anybody can do it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just not, we don't social media blast it. We don't do anything. It's just, come on down, and we're going to be here and have a good time.
Very cool.
But, I mean, for the pub, Clifton Day is, of course, a major beast down here. It's the only day a year they shut down the roads and bring in the trains. So, I'd say that is, our Super Bowl, along with a couple others. The Haunted Trail does really well. And St. Patrick's Day, of course.
Very good. So this building here, how has it changed over, so it was the general store when your dad bought it back in 86, 87, whenever, excuse me, and so what's the genesis of it then?
I don't even know what that term means.
Yeah. Well, how did it progress from the general store to what it is today?
Oh, wow. Okay, so back when he first bought the general store, there was it was over-the-counter ordering.
Okay.
So you would sit there, over-the-counter order to whoever was on the grill. And it would open at 6 a.m., and the grill would close at 3, and the store would close at 5.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Way different than what it is today.
And I know when we first moved here, much later on than 86, probably 20 years later, 30 years later, there was a lot more items to sell in the front of the store, and the pub piece of it was a smaller piece, and now that's kind of changed a little bit.
So the pub came about. My parents were actually going to, sell all of this and retire and go open a bed and breakfast down in Wilmington. So they had gone down there a couple of times to look for property and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, 07, 08 market crash, and real estate dropped out. And so they were like, well, we're not leaving. Like, we're not going to up and sell for, half of what this stuff's worth, so this works. All our kids are 21 now, like, let's go ahead and open a pub. So my dad's best friend, Bill Hummel, built the bar.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Okay. He has a woodworking shop up in Deep Creek Lake. So he built this up there. It was 4 cast iron tables that you would put on your patio.
Okay, yeah.
To start, and then the store was still all there. So, at the beginning it was hilarious. I mean, there was a cooler that I feel like, had a butt imprint on it from me. So
you're popping beers out of the bottles and all that?
Popping beers. We had draft beer to start, but it wasn't kegged beer from out back. It was this little keg cooler that always screwed up, and it was awful. But it just kind of, the community really embraced it, 1. And 2, it just kept expanding. So, I think the first renovation was they redid the patio to what it is now. Poured a big old concrete slab and made it nice and pretty out there. Then we started kind of going into the pub, creating the walls, because when the pub first started, the walls were essentially coolers.
Okay, so you had coolers all the way around?
Like beer coolers, soda coolers.
So it's just some tables in the middle
it was literally the tables in the middle of a general store.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
And
so over the years, the progression's been, now, there's people on the front porch that sit out there and eat and all that.
Yeah.
And you've got the back part that you use for big
events.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
Added all that,
Slow and steady,
Okay. All right. So what's the biggest challenge about owning the pub? And I guess the other question I need to ask you too is, so when did that transition happen from your folks to you?
Oh, wow. So, okay, I'll answer the biggest challenge first.
Yeah, sure.
Biggest challenge is the fact that this building is over 100 years old, and it's got little nuances everywhere. From, electrical lines that were run poorly and have to replace them, to the floor, and unless I get somebody in here and redo the whole thing, it's always going to lead into a corner.
Nice.
It's just making it all work.
Historic buildings are difficult just per se.
It can be fun, but it can be daunting at times, when certain equipment goes down, or, Clifton's known for the power going out all the time, so having backup generators and things like that.
Now, I guess you have a generator here?
I have a generator that can do my walk-in cooler outside.
Okay. Well, if you ever need to borrow one, you can have one
this building itself doesn't have a generator. The walk-in absolutely has a generator.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Very good.
Yeah. And then the question about when I bought it, so my dad passed about 7 years ago. And this was always kind of his thing. Mom had the flower shop back in the day. So, you know, Mom took it over and she ran it really well. But then COVID came and COVID went. And it just kind of took a toll on her. She was done.
Yeah.
So I remember, you know, sitting out back of her house and having a conversation with her. And, you know, she's like, I think I'm going to sell the pub. You know, I really want to. I was like, I think that's a great idea. You know, we've had it in the family for God knows how long, and let's just go ahead and sell it. And she goes, well, no, I want to sell it to you. And I go, that's a really big, different conversation. But it worked out, you know, got all the paperwork done, went to arbitration for it. And
so what were you doing then when?
Well, I still own another restaurant up in Arlington.
Oh, okay.
So I've had that restaurant for just over 6 years.
Oh, okay.
And it's in Crystal City. It's called McNamara's, which is, you know,
yeah.
really outside the box on naming it.
Seems like naming convention. I've been there, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, somebody said, oh, McNamara's, have dinner there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, I mean,
Okay.
even later today, that's where I'll go.
Okay. So one of the things, kind of talking about the pub here, you know, that I love is the comfort food that you all have, you know. And so what, you know, how do you come up with those recipes, and, you know, what do you decide?
Well, one, we have a great team in the kitchen, you know. They all know what they're doing. It's great, you know. And everybody puts their own twist on things. I mean, like, I could go through every single one of my employees and say, you know, the great things that they do. But, you know, I have kind of like my head guy during the day in there, Dan, who, you know, he'll make up a new soup on the fly. Like, it was like a month ago, we had some ground sausage. And we're like, what are we going to do? And he, you know, made this Mediterranean
let's make some
soup out of it.
I think
it
I had some
amazing.
of that. It was awesome. Yeah, I love the soup down here.
Yeah.
That's my question whenever we're ordering down here. It's like, what's the soup today?
Yeah. But like, as for recipes, I mean, everybody has their own styles on things and wants to do it, you know, certain ways. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like it's a team effort when we make something new up. But let's be honest, it usually comes from, you know, their hands first, of like, hey, let's do this idea. And I'm like, okay, let's try that. Shepherd's
pie, the Guinness stew, you know, the open-faced turkey sandwich. Keep it coming. I grew up in Iowa, so it's like, this is what I love to eat.
The comfort food is, I mean, like, the stew, you know, it's my recipe from down there, so same with the shepherd's pie, you know. The open-faced turkey sandwich has kind of evolved through the years. I remember when that first came out and my dad did it, and I just kind of looked at it. I was like, what is this? But people loved it. So, and it's now evolved into like a turkey bowl. So
very cool. So what do we have to look forward to at the pub in 2025, and then over the next 5 years? What's the evolution going to be?
You know, 2025 is going to be a year where we just look at, you know, perfecting everything. You know, we look into the mechanisms that we run. There's no massive renovations. I mean, I'm going to move the wall in the bathroom, so that's a little bigger. But again, with ADA compliance, well, because when I want to sit down, your knees hit the door.
Hit the door, yeah.
So I think it's best if we move that door. But you know, again, with ADA compliance, I can't move anything because all of that's grandfathered in. So like, it's not like I can add a toilet or more sinks or any of that. It's just, this is what we got.
And it works. Everybody knows where it is.
Yeah. So, and then by the end of next year, I hope to, you know, rehood everything back there. But those are kind of the two major projects of next year.
Okay. And then what do you see the pub looking like in 5 years?
Well, it can either look exactly like it is, or we can redo it to get all the aspects of the business where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's very hard having, you know, a kitchen so far from all the storage for the kitchen and the dish pit and stuff like that. So, you know, there are plans and drawings that have gone with MEPs. And
so a little more efficient layout
there,
or whatever.
You know, there's a layout to where I would completely redo the whole thing. Again, that takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and you know, and I don't think there's going to be a ton of ROI on that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as a restaurant owner, you know,
it's
gotta
you
pay.
know, it's hard for me to go ahead and do, you know, a renovation that's 7 figures.
Yeah.
And see very little ROI on that. So, but I also look at longevity, and I look at, you know, 40 years. I want, you know, my 2 little girls to take this over. You know, this is one of those restaurants that'll stay around for years. Yeah. This isn't, you know, the normal 10, 15, 20-year restaurant. Yeah. This is, you know.
Well, we call Clifton the last small town in Fairfax County.
Yeah.
You know, it's really literally the only small town in Fairfax County with you know, the last level train crossing. There'll never be an overpass, underpass, because there's no way to do that.
We can't do it.
It's like, this is it. Clifton is Clifton. And it's a quarter-mile square, which makes it what it is. And, you know, so when we moved here, you know, amazing. And it's in Fairfax County, which is, you know, even better.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, so Friday nights, music?
Well, it switches. So every week, it's either on Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
If it's on Friday this week, it'll be on Saturday next week, and vice versa. Now, every once in a while, it'll switch up just due to bookings and/or events.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to throw live music the Saturday before Clifton Day, because that sounds like an awful idea. But in general, that's how it goes. You know, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And so, where do you find your talent for this?
I have a booking agent.
Okay.
So what we do is we book all our local acts. So, you know, we have Eric Ketchmark, who lives here in town. Yeah. We have Sarah Swanner and JJ, and they're awesome. And then a couple other local people that'll play every once in a while. And then when we have those dates set, I call my booking agent that I use up at McNamara's too, and I call Chip and I say, hey, bud, here's the dates I need filled.
Let's go.
And, you know, he gets guys for me, and it's easy peasy.
Yeah, I guess as a patron of a restaurant, you don't think of that. You think, you know, maybe Kevin has to book all this stuff himself. You know, it's like you only have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to have leverage in other areas, right? So, yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
You got to use other people's business models, you know, to help your business model out.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned too. You know, you have other restaurants too. So you've got Preston's is your mom's and your brother's,
and my brother's,
right?
yeah.
And so you got McNamara's down in Arlington and the pub. What do you do when you're not working?
I hang out with my kids.
Okay.
And my wife, I swear.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, good example. It's Christmas season. So last night my wife, you know, had to go out. Run errands. She's so good. She already did all the shopping. She got all the presents wrapped. You know, what is it? It's December 20th, and you know, she's got it all done.
Sounds like she loves you more than 80% of the time.
But so I got to hang out with the girls at home. Nice. You know, we have this like cardboard house, and we played Big Bag Wolf. Excellent. With it, and then, you know, got them in the bath, got them clean, and brushed their hair, and got them in bed, and So yeah, that's.
So, so as a restaurant owner, you always on? Is this like you're here 20? You know, you're like always going, and you know, and then the second piece of that question is, if you traveled someplace to like, I want to just go to like, you know, some island or whatever, where would that be? So, yeah.
Okay.
Is it like a work? Is it like
Work-wise,
real estate where you're working 7 days a week? Or, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'll even come in here Christmas Day and do something, because it's just the nature of the business. But there is positives of owning businesses. You know, I don't have a set schedule, but I have a schedule.
Yeah.
So, you know, I always have to run around and do stuff and get stuff done. But there are some days where, you know, I could come in and, you know, I look at Victoria, I look at Dan, and I'm like, I'm going to hang out with my kids, man. Like, I can't do it today. And again, that's the point of having great staff, you know, sure. And people you can rely on. You know, when people are here, my managers, you know, my head cooks, like, I know stuff's getting done.
Yeah. It's like any business, the who that you have working for you is significant, huge. Yeah.
A huge deal.
Yeah. So if you were to like take a vacation somewhere, you're like, okay, so staff, you got it. I'm gone for a week.
Well, that's the nice part of having my brother, you know, in the restaurant too, as well as, you know, management and other ownership up at McNamara's as well. Is, you know, I can take vacation.
Where do you go when you do that?
Well, so my father-in-law actually just got our kids a trip down to Disney, and then we'll go on a Disney cruise.
Oh, cool.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So that's in March, beginning part of March. Those were kind of the only days that I could make it work. I swear it's before March 17th.
That's a Super Bowl day at the club as well.
So, but yeah, it works. You know, you have to have that work-family balance. It has to be there. If it's not, it just weighs on you one way or the other. You know, when I'm with them for an extended amount of time, all I can do is sit there and think about the restaurants, and vice versa. When I'm here too often, all I'm saying is like, man, I'm, you know, crappy dad right now.
Yeah. 3 questions.
Yeah.
What new menu items? What's the most ordered menu item here now? And what's the favorite drink of most people here?
Man. Okay, so favorite menu item is always burgers.
Okay.
We go through tons and tons of burgers.
Got some good ones too.
Oh yeah. That's, you know.
Main Street Smash Burger.
Smash Burger. You
love
know,
that.
Katie's Rodeo Burger is a big one. The mac and cheese burger is, you know, definitely a knife and fork burger. And then drink-wise, if it's beer, it's Solace. Solace is probably the #1 off tap.
Okay.
Here. And then if it's cocktail, it's definitely the Clifton Mimosa, which is this goofy drink I made up years and years ago that I have no clue how it stuck, but it's at all 3 restaurants and people love it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Now, is it called the Clifton Mimosa at all the restaurants?
No. Okay. So we changed the name at all of them. So I think at Sean's it's like the Park Mimosa or something like that. And then here, of course, Clifton Mimosa. And up in Arlington is Arlington Ridge Mimosa.
Nice.
You know, but it's hilarious. Like, you know, who thought, you know, making a mimosa more boozy was going to, you know, get people to drink more of them.
And why not?
So.
Perfect. And so any new menu items that are coming up that you can see in the...
Yeah, so Dan's been working all week on shrimp and grits.
Oh,
so
nice.
He's been messing with... Because I hate runny grits. It's like a thing to me. I don't know what it is. It's weird. I hate runny grits. If I see that your shrimp and grits is runny grit, I'm not ordering it.
There's no good.
I mean, they could be the best grits in the world. They're still runny grits, and I hate them. So he's been doing, getting some grit cakes together, trying out different, you know, measurements and stuff like that. So I think he's got that down. He made a really good Cajun sauce for the top of it, and of course,
nice.
Grilled shrimp.
Well, I can't wait to try that out.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it tastes awesome. It's definitely got a kick to it, but it's really good.
Well, grits is one of those universal foods too.
Yeah.
It's like people eat it all different ways. It's like some have butter on it, and some put maple syrup on it, and some put shrimp on it. Right?
Yeah. So it's, I mean, and it's now grits has become, not just breakfast. It's hit the whole facet of everything. I mean, I almost want to say some desserts have it in it now.
Yeah, and I grew up in Iowa, so there's no grits out there. It's like when I moved here, it's like grits. Let's try those. It's so well you can have them any of a billion different ways. And it's like, I love it, love grits. Yeah.
It's like going south and getting collard greens. Like, this area has no collard green. I mean, there's like certain places you can get them, but that's it. Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, getting a chance to sit down and talk with you a little bit. If someone wanted to, that's online, they're looking, how would they contact and be part of the pub and understanding what's going on? I know you've got a website.
So we have a website. I'll be dead honest, I don't update it very often. I would say our Facebook and Instagram pages are probably the #1 social media priority.
And your Facebook page is the
Main Street Pub.
ST Pub.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Kevin McNamara, we love it. We love the pub. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, and I love this idea. It's a great idea.
I think Clifton is such a unique place.
Yeah.
So our future in living in Clifton is going to be sit-downs with restaurant owners, business owners, historians. This is such a cool place that it's just like the rest of Virginia, and particularly the rest of Fairfax County, has no idea that this is even here in a lot of cases. So I mean, it's like we're gonna bring more business to the pub.
I still talk to people in my neighborhood, and I live just at the top of Clifton Road, and they're like, "Wait, where is Clifton?" I'm like, Clifton Road is like a road down, and you don't know where Clifton is. And they're like, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much.